The bell above the little cafe door chimed for what seemed like the 1000th time that year, but on that bright spring afternoon, everything changed. The successful CEO reached into her purse, smiled politely, and once again left exactly $9 in the tip jar before walking away without another glance. The exhausted single father behind the counter watched the bills disappear into the glass jar with the same burning question that had haunted him for nearly 2 years. Why $9? Never 8. Never 10. Always 9. He had no idea that before the sun set that afternoon, the answer would shatter every painful belief he carried about himself, uncover a secret buried for decades, and change both of their lives forever. If you believe kindness can change lives, forgiveness can heal broken hearts, hope should never be abandoned, and everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps our community continue sharing stories that remind us the smallest acts of compassion often create the greatest miracles. The cafe sat on a busy corner where office workers, students, retirees, and tourists passed through from sunrise until late afternoon. It was called Maple Street Coffee, a warm little place with polished wooden tables, shelves lined with books, and windows that let the daylight flood every corner. Behind the counter worked Garrett Nolan, a 36-year-old widower raising his 8-year-old daughter, Chloe. Every morning before dawn, Garrett unlocked the cafe, prepared pastries, brewed fresh coffee, cleaned tables, balanced receipts, and somehow still found enough energy to greet every customer with genuine warmth. Life had once looked completely different. Garrett had dreamed of becoming an architect. He had attended college, married the love of his life, and imagined building beautiful homes across the country. Then tragedy arrived without warning. His wife, Marissa, died from a sudden illness only months after Chloe was born. Medical bills swallowed every dollar they had saved. College loans remained unpaid. Dreams quietly disappeared beneath responsibilities. Garrett sold almost everything he owned and accepted work wherever he could find it until the owner of Maple Street Coffee offered him a permanent position. The work was honest, but it barely covered rent, groceries, school supplies, and childcare. Garrett often skipped meals so Chloe could enjoy fresh fruit instead of canned food. He repaired her shoes with glue instead of buying new ones. He smiled through exhaustion because his daughter deserved a father who still believed tomorrow might be better. Among hundreds of regular customers, one woman stood apart. Her name was Vivian Mercer. She was known throughout the city as the brilliant CEO of Mercer Development Group, one of the fastest-growing construction companies in the region. Newspapers praised her intelligence. Business magazines celebrated her leadership. She arrived every weekday just before noon wearing elegant business suits, carrying a leather handbag, and ordering the exact same lunch with black coffee. She never lingered. She never asked personal questions. She simply smiled, thanked Garrett, placed precisely $9 into the tip jar, and left. The first few times Garrett assumed it was coincidence. After several months, curiosity replaced coincidence. After a year, it became an obsession. Co-workers joked that maybe 9 was her lucky number. Others guessed she simply disliked carrying $1 bills. Garrett laughed with them, but deep inside he wondered if somehow he had unknowingly offended her. Maybe the unusual amount carried some hidden meaning. One sunny afternoon, curiosity finally defeated hesitation. As Vivian reached for the cafe door after leaving another $9 tip, Garrett politely asked why she always left the same amount. She paused. For just a second, confidence disappeared from her face. She looked toward the bright window, took a slow breath, and quietly replied that someday he would understand. Then she walked away. That answer only deepened the mystery. Weeks turned into months. Life continued. Garrett struggled through rising prices, unexpected school expenses, and constant worries about keeping his apartment. Yet every weekday, $9 more appeared inside the tip jar. One afternoon, while balancing receipts, Garrett realized something astonishing. Those $9 tips had quietly accumulated into several $1,000s over 2 years. He had never spent them. Something about the pattern felt too intentional. He kept them untouched in a separate savings envelope labeled simply 9. Then came the day everything changed. The cafe owner gathered the employees with heartbreaking news. Business had declined for months because a large chain coffee shop had opened nearby. Unless sales improved dramatically, Maple Street Coffee would permanently close within 3 weeks. Garrett felt the floor disappear beneath him. Finding another job would be difficult. Finding one flexible enough for Chloe's school schedule seemed almost impossible. That afternoon Vivian entered as usual. She noticed Garrett's smile had vanished. Without asking questions, she quietly placed another $9 into the jar. But this time Garrett couldn't hide the pain in his eyes. Something in his expression stopped her. Instead of leaving immediately, she looked around the nearly empty cafe, noticing faded furniture, aging equipment, and worried employees pretending everything was normal. She thanked Garrett and walked out into the sunshine. The following morning she returned much earlier than usual. Instead of ordering coffee, she asked the owner if they could speak privately. Nearly an hour later she left carrying several old folders and financial records. Nobody understood why. Days passed. The closure date drew closer. Employees quietly searched for other jobs. Garrett tried to stay hopeful for Chloe, but every afternoon he sat alone after work wondering how much longer hope could survive against reality. Then, one beautiful morning filled with golden sunlight, several construction engineers entered the cafe carrying blueprints. Behind them walked Vivian. Everyone froze. The owner looked completely confused. Vivian smiled for the first time in a way that revealed genuine emotion rather than professional courtesy. She announced that Mercer Development Group had purchased the entire building. No one spoke. She explained that the cafe would not close. Instead, it would be renovated while preserving everything customers loved about it. Every employee would keep their job. Garrett could hardly breathe. Tears filled the owner's eyes. Customers applauded. But Garrett still wondered one thing. Why $9? After the celebration settled, Vivian invited Garrett to sit beside the large front window where afternoon sunlight warmed the wooden table. She carefully removed an old photograph from her handbag. The faded picture showed 2 young children standing beside a lemonade stand. One little girl smiled proudly while a slightly older boy held a handwritten sign. Garrett stared. The boy looked strangely familiar. Vivian gently explained that decades earlier, before wealth, before success, before expensive offices and magazine covers, her family had struggled terribly. Her father lost his business. Bills piled up. They often survived 1 week at a time. One hot summer afternoon, when she was only 7 years old, she accidentally dropped the family's last $9 while walking home from the grocery store. She searched desperately. She cried. She believed she had doomed her family. Then an older neighborhood boy found the money beside the sidewalk. He could have kept it. Instead, he ran after her and returned every single dollar. Her mother cried with relief. That $9 bought groceries that lasted until her father's first paycheck from a new job arrived. Without it, they would have gone hungry. Vivian never forgot the kindness of that boy. Garrett looked back at the photograph. His hands began trembling. The boy wasn't merely familiar. It was him. He suddenly remembered that forgotten summer afternoon from childhood. He had completely forgotten returning the money because, to him, it had simply been the right thing to do. Vivian smiled through tears. She admitted she had recognized Garrett the first day she entered the cafe. His face had changed with age, but his gentle smile had not. She wanted to thank him. She wanted to help. But she feared embarrassing a proud single father by offering charity. So she left exactly $9 every day. Not because he needed a tip. Because she wanted him to know that kindness always comes back. She had waited patiently, hoping one day the right moment would arrive to tell him the truth. Garrett could no longer hold back his emotions. Every sacrifice, every lonely morning, every difficult year suddenly felt connected by one forgotten act of goodness performed by a child who expected absolutely nothing in return. Vivian gently pushed another envelope across the table. Inside was an offer unlike anything Garrett imagined. She had learned about his unfinished architecture degree after reviewing the cafe owner's employment records. Mercer Development Group would fully pay for Garrett to complete his education while continuing to receive his salary. Once graduated, he would join her company as an architect if he wished. She explained that buildings mattered, but people mattered far more. Someone who returned $9 without expecting praise deserved every opportunity life had once stolen from him. Garrett accepted with tears streaming down his face. Over the following years, the renovated Maple Street Coffee became one of the city's favorite gathering places. Garrett completed his degree through determination and countless afternoons of study while Chloe proudly completed her homework beside him in the cafe. Eventually, Garrett designed community centers, affordable family housing, and neighborhood libraries that reflected the same compassion he had unknowingly shown as a boy. Chloe grew into a confident young woman who often told friends that the greatest inheritance her father ever gave her wasn't money. It was kindness. Vivian continued leading her company with wisdom, but she never stopped visiting Maple Street Coffee. Even after Garrett became an architect, she still ordered the same lunch. She still smiled warmly. And every visit, she quietly placed $9 into the tip jar. Not because anyone expected it, but because some numbers become reminders that goodness never disappears. It simply waits for the right moment to return. Before we finish this story, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a small act of kindness that changed your life or restored your faith in people? Please leave a meaningful comment sharing your experience or the lesson this story reminded you of. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that the smallest act of honesty may seem insignificant today, but years from now it could become the reason someone believes in humanity again. Every smile, every helping hand, every sacrifice, and every moment of compassion plants a seed that may bloom when it is needed most. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't begin with millions of dollars or extraordinary talent. Sometimes they begin with something as simple as $9 honestly returned by a child who believed doing the right thing was reward enough. And in the end, that simple choice built a future where hope, gratitude, forgiveness, and love became the richest treasures of all.